Okay, fourth grade, this is lesson 6-8, interpreting remainders. We're on page 209. Let's dive right in. Here are the 5 things you're going to do today. For each problem, you're going to draw a picture. You're going to write a number model with a letter for the unknown. You will use a division algorithm to solve the problem. You'll decide what to do with the remainder, and you're going to record your answer and write a number model with the answer. Okay, so first let's talk about drawing a picture. I'm going to read number 1 to you, and then we're going to think about how can we draw this out. So number 1 reads, Jackson is buying balloons for a party. Balloons cost $6 per bunch. How many bunches can he buy with $75? So I like to think about this as though it's a real life thing. Imagine Mrs. Lausch gave one of you guys $75 and said, all right, I want you to go head on inside to the party store and buy as many packs of balloons as you can with the $75. And so we need to think about how we can draw this. And they don't, to clarify, they don't literally mean like draw a person holding a bunch of balloons. As fun as that would be, sad face. That's not what they mean by picture. They want a mathematical picture. Okay, so let's think about this. If I drew you the first example, maybe you could complete this on your own. I know every time Jackson buys a package or a bunch of balloons, it's going to cost $6. So here's the first piece of my picture. So that's $6. And if you bought another pack of another pack of balloons, that'd be another $6 for $12 total. So far we know he can buy at least 2 bunches of balloons. And there's a word for this process. That word is tedium, because this is going to be kind of tedious for you guys. That means like tiresome or annoying. But basically you're going to have to draw, they want you to draw a picture that's going to show a visualization of this division problem. We're basically taking these $75 and we want to figure out how many $6 bunches we can buy. So I'm at 18, 24. If you can count by sixes, it's a lot easier, guys. 24 plus 6 is 30. 36. 42. 48. 54. 60. We're getting closer. 66. 72. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to put a number down. I'm going to say this is $72 worth. Because now we're getting to the crux of the lesson. So with our picture so far, our mathematical picture, not our sad balloon guy picture, we have noticed that we've bought, let's see how many bunches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bunches, and it cost us $72. But there's a problem here. We don't quite have room for another $6 bunch, right? Because we've spent $72, and another $6 bunch would bump us up 72 plus 6, which equals $78. Do we have $78? No. And when you're at the party store, or any store, and you walk up to the cash register, and you're like, oh yeah, sorry, I have $3 worth of goods more than I actually can afford. But that's no problem, right? Yeah, that's a problem. Stores are not going to just let you walk out in most cases with $3 extra of goods. So in this case, if another bunch is going to cost us $78, we're in trouble. They're not going to say, yeah, sure, go ahead. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to need to do with this whole 72 and not being able to afford another bunch thing. So before we do that, let's crank out some of our other tasks. First, let's do a number model for the unknown, or with the unknown. And we basically drew a picture. We already were in the middle of solving this thing. The number model is, we have $75, and we need to divide it into groups of what? Every single bunch costs $6. So we're taking the 75, dividing it by 6, and we need a number model with an unknown. An unknown means we don't know the answer yet. So I was going to use a B for balloon, but a B a lot of times looks a lot like a 6, and that's why they tend to use just generic ones like X or Y. They don't get confused with numbers quite as easily. So 75 divided by 6 equals X. Now we don't have our total answer just yet, so let's go back up and figure this thing out. We bought 12 bunches. It cost us $72. And the way we did that was 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60, 66, 72. The question I asked earlier is, do we have enough money to buy a 13th bunch, one more bunch? And if we have $75 and we have spent $72, we only have $3 left. And just like we talked about, if something costs $6 and you walk up to the cash register with $3, they're going to usually say, sorry, we can't sell that to you. You don't have enough money. So we don't have enough for another bunch, which means how many can we buy? Just this much here. We can buy 12 total bunches. And how much we'll have to account for this guy. We'll have how much money left over? $3. So if you're chilling with Mrs. Lausch, and you head back into the car, and she's like, all right, you got all the balloons for our school party? And you're like, yeah, it cost $72. And she's like, was there anything left over? You would be like, oh yeah, there's $3 left over, also known as $3 remaining. So in math, we call this a remainder. So our number model is actually going to be, with an answer, 75 divided by 6 equals 12, with a remainder of $3, but we can't call that a remainder of 3, I don't think, because that'd be like saying we can buy 12 bunches with 3 bunches left over. That's not what we're saying. It would be basically, I want to say we can almost buy like half of another bunch because we have half as much money as needed. I don't know. I'd have to go look at my answer book, which I don't have on me right now. Maybe we'll just call it with $3 left over. I'll go double check and correct that at some point down the line. $3 left. And so the last question they're going to ask us here is, oh gosh, I was off the screen the whole time. I'm sorry. Take a look at my number model with the answer. I did 75 divided by 6 equals 12 with $3 left. And I specified dollars because we don't want to accidentally think that we have 3 bunches left. That wouldn't make sense. The last question they're going to ask you, this is where it's a little fun. You get to take it wherever you want to take it, as long as it's mostly realistic. They want to know what you're going to do with that remainder. What are you going to do with the $3 left? Okay, we can't, there's one thing we definitely can't do. That is going to be this guy. We can't round this up to another bunch because, again, that's not how things work at stores. You can't say, hey, I've got $3, but do you mind if I just round it up to 6 and get another bunch of balloons? You can't do that. unless you know the owner or they just think you're the coolest person ever, most places will say, sorry, you can't round your money up to buy more things. You either have it or you don't. So what we can do is either report this as a fraction. We would have enough for half of another bunch. Although, in this case, think about it. In most cases, guys, can you just buy half of a product at a store? Usually not. If you're buying a package of, I don't know, a dozen eggs, can you just like take a saw and cut that package of eggs in half and say, hey, I'll just take this half of it? No, you can't. So we can't really report it as a fraction as far as I know. We can't just say, hey, we'll take a half of a bunch. So there's really only one thing left to do in this case, and I think that's going to be like, ignore it. There's nothing we can do with that $3 except give it back to Mrs. Lausch. So your why, we don't have enough money for another bunch. Okay. That said, you can kind of come up with your own why as long as it makes sense. If you want to put that $3 towards something else, you can give it a shot. But the main takeaway here is we can't get any more bunches. That remainder does not allow for that opportunity. However, you're going to notice that's not always the case. If you look at number 2, we're no longer dealing with money. We're dealing with storing DVDs. So Rosa's buying boxes to hold all 128 of her DVDs. That's a lot of DVDs. And each box holds 5 DVDs. And the question's going to be, how many boxes are needed to store all of her DVDs? I'm not going to run you through this entire problem. I'm just going to circle a super key word here. That word is all of her DVDs. So when you draw this picture out, which if you thought this one was tedious, wait until you get to number 2. When you draw this one out, you need to make sure there's a box for all of her DVDs, every one of them. There cannot be any DVDs that don't have a home. Okay, so you're going to take 128 DVDs, split them into boxes that can hold 5 maximum. That's your challenge for number 2. I think we have a 3 and a 4 on 210. This is kind of a fun one. The drawing, it will take a little bit of time, but I think it's a great way to help you visualize what's actually happening and how we divide or split things up. All right, guys, any questions, let me know. Goodbye.